Over the years, life shapes us in ways we couldn't imagine. Each experience, whether triumphant or painful, leaves a mark. By the time we reach a certain age, we've gathered not just knowledge, but wisdom, precious and irreplaceable. It's the kind of wisdom that shapes who we are and often tempts us to share it, especially with those we love most, our children. But here's the question. Does every truth, every detail, really need to be shared? Or could some things be better left unsaid, not out of secrecy, but as a way to protect the harmony and respect we've worked so hard to build? Before we continue, friends, I kindly ask you to subscribe to my channel. It only takes a second for you, but for me, it's an extra motivation to keep creating videos. I'd also really appreciate a comment. Thank you for your support, and now, let's continue with the story. Have you ever told your child something deeply personal, only to see their face change in a way that made you wish you hadn't? Maybe it was worry, or perhaps judgment. In that moment, you might have realized that some truths, however well-intentioned, can create barriers instead of bridges. Let me tell you, this isn't about hiding who you are. It's about understanding when silence is the more compassionate choice. There's a reason people often say, the strongest relationships are built on trust and space. It's true. We cherish our independence, and as parents, we want to nurture strong, independent relationships with our children. But the line between sharing and oversharing is a fine one. If you've ever felt that delicate balance tip, you're not alone. Take a moment and think back to a time when you shared something vulnerable about yourself. Maybe it was a health concern, a regret, or even a long-held dream. What was the response? Did it feel supportive, or did it leave you with a sense of discomfort? These moments can be telling, can't they? They show us the complexities of relationships and remind us that even love requires boundaries. Imagine this. You've always prided yourself on being strong, on handling life's challenges with grace. Then one day, you decide to open up about a recent health scare. You tell your adult child, hoping for a warm embrace of support. Instead, their concern turns into constant checking in, unsolicited advice, and even decisions made on your behalf. It's not malicious, it's love. But it's a love that inadvertently takes away your sense of control. Suddenly, you find yourself longing for the very independence you willingly gave up. Does this sound familiar? This happens more often than we think. And it's not just about health. The American ideal of self-reliance, that cherished part of the American dream, often feels at odds with the vulnerability that comes with aging. But here's the thing. We can preserve both. We can stay connected to our loved ones without sacrificing the boundaries that make us feel like ourselves. It's not always easy, but it starts with understanding which parts of our lives are ours to hold. What if we reframe silence as a form of love, a choice not to burden, but to protect? There's a story about a woman. Let's call her Eleanor. Eleanor was vibrant and full of life, even in her late 60s. She loved her independence and cherished the home she had built over decades. When she was diagnosed with a minor but chronic condition, her first instinct was to tell her son. She knew he cared deeply, and she thought sharing this would bring them closer. And at first, it did. But soon, his care turned into a kind of quiet dominance. He began suggesting she move closer to him, offering to help her manage appointments, even hinting that it might be better if he started handling her finances to ease her stress. Eleanor felt herself shrinking. The vibrant woman who once thrived on her independence now felt as if her world had become smaller, defined by her son's good intentions. One evening, she decided to take a step back. She stopped sharing every detail of her condition. She reassured him that she was fine, even when she had an off day. Slowly, their relationship returned to a place of mutual respect. Eleanor realized that by choosing not to share every aspect of her life, she was protecting both her peace and her son's. Have you ever faced a moment like this? A time when you realize that sharing too much could change the dynamics of a relationship. It's not about keeping secrets in the traditional sense. It's about recognizing the power of silence as a form of self-preservation and care for those we love. This is just the beginning of our journey into understanding the secrets we carry and the wisdom behind them. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into another area where silence can be golden, finances. But before we go there, think about this. Could your silence about certain aspects of your life be a gift to yourself and your family? Could it be the key to maintaining the independence and harmony you've worked so hard to achieve? Let's explore that together in the next chapter. Money. It's a word that carries meaning far beyond its monetary value. For many of us, it symbolizes years of effort, choices, and sacrifices. It represents security, freedom, and the ability to shape our lives according to our own terms. Yet, money is also deeply personal, and sharing too much about it, especially with family, can blur the lines between generosity and obligation. Have you ever wondered if keeping some financial matters private might actually strengthen your sense of self and preserve your independence? Let's think about this differently. Imagine your financial independence as a carefully built home. Over time, you've added to it brick by brick with every decision you've made. It's your sanctuary, a place where you feel safe and in control. Sharing the details of this home isn't always necessary to prove your love or trust. It's enough to know that it's there, providing stability for you and indirectly for your family. Consider Margaret, a retired nurse who spent decades saving for her dream of traveling the country in an RV. For her, this dream wasn't just about seeing new places. It was about embracing the freedom she'd worked so hard to achieve. Margaret chose not to disclose the full details of her finances to her adult children, not because she didn't trust them, but because she valued the autonomy that came with managing her own decisions. When her daughter casually asked about her retirement plans, Margaret smiled and spoke about the trip she was planning, but she didn't go into specifics about how she was funding them. This decision wasn't about secrecy. It was about protecting a part of her life that she cherished. As a result, Margaret felt free to enjoy her travels without feeling obligated to justify her choices. Her independence allowed her to focus on the things that brought her joy, while her family admired her adventurous spirit. There's a quiet power in choosing what to share and what to keep private. Maintaining financial privacy doesn't just protect your autonomy. It also fosters self-respect. It reinforces the idea that you're capable of making your own decisions, that your years of planning and effort have earned you the right to live life on your own terms. And here's the beautiful part. This approach often leads to greater harmony in relationships. By establishing clear boundaries, you create space for mutual respect and understanding. Think about it this way. When you maintain financial independence, you're not only safeguarding your freedom, but also setting a valuable example for your loved ones. You're showing them what it means to take responsibility for your own life, a lesson that aligns with the cherished ideals of self-reliance and individualism that resonate so deeply in American culture. This isn't about withholding. It's about demonstrating strength and confidence. Now, let's address something important. Setting boundaries doesn't mean closing yourself off. It's about finding a balance, sharing enough to stay connected, while keeping certain details private to honor your own needs. For example, instead of discussing exact numbers or long-term plans, you might choose to focus on the values that guide your decisions. Conversations like these can be both meaningful and empowering, without crossing into territory that feels too vulnerable. Take Jack, a widower who had always been careful with his finances. When his son expressed concerns about whether Jack was prepared for retirement, Jack didn't feel the need to share every detail. Instead, he reassured his son with a simple, heartfelt response. "I've worked hard to plan for the stage of my life, and I feel good about where I am. I'm grateful for what I have, and I know how to make it work for me." His calm confidence not only eased his son's worries, but also affirmed Jack's own sense of control. Have you ever had a moment like that? A time when you chose to approach a conversation with reassurance rather than specifics? It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful thing we can share is our confidence. By showing that we trust ourselves, we inspire trust in others. As we think about finances and relationships, let's focus on the positive. Your independence is a gift, not just to you, but to those around you. It allows you to live with intention, to pursue your dreams, and to be present for your loved ones in ways that feel authentic and fulfilling. Boundaries aren't barriers. They're the foundation of healthy, respectful connections. In the next part, we'll explore another kind of boundary, one that involves the dreams and regrets we carry with us. These are often the most personal aspects of our lives, the ones that shape us in profound ways. But before we move on, take a moment to reflect. How does maintaining your financial independence bring you a sense of freedom? Could preserving this part of your life be one of the greatest acts of love you offer to yourself and your family? Let's continue this journey together. Dreams and regrets. They're more than just memories or thoughts. They're the quiet spaces where we reflect, grow, and reconnect with ourselves. Have you ever found that holding on to a dream or contemplating a regret gave you clarity? These aren't just moments from our past or hopes for the future. They're a part of the journey that shapes who we are. What if the greatest value of these private reflections isn't in sharing them, but in how they guide us toward deeper self-understanding? Some things in life are meant to be savored privately. Dreams, for instance, can be like fragile treasures, alive with possibility and hope. When we keep them close, they remain untouched by the world's judgments or expectations, free to inspire us in ways that feel deeply personal. Similarly, reflecting on regrets doesn't always require outside validation. In fact, these moments often lead to the kind of growth that can only happen within, where honesty and introspection meet. Consider Clara, a woman who had always nurtured a quiet dream of learning to paint. For decades, that dream sat on a shelf as she cared for her family and balanced a demanding career. When she finally decided to embrace it, the joy she found was immeasurable. She painted not for an audience or praise, but for the simple pleasure of expressing herself. One evening, over dinner, she mentioned her new passion to her daughter, hoping to share a bit of her excitement. "That's nice, Mom," her daughter replied. "But don't you think it's a little late to start something new?" Clara could have let those words dampen her enthusiasm, but she didn't. Instead, she chose to keep her dream close, painting for herself and allowing her newfound passion to flourish quietly. In doing so, she discovered a deep sense of fulfillment, one that didn't rely on external validation. Have you ever had a moment like Clara's, where keeping something private felt like the right decision? It's not about hiding. It's about cherishing the things that matter most to us in ways that feel meaningful. Regrets, too, can offer surprising value when we process them on our own terms. They have a way of teaching us lessons that no one else can fully understand. John, a retired firefighter, carried one such regret. Early in his career, a decision he made during a crisis had unintended consequences. He carried that memory for years, reflecting on it as a source of wisdom and growth. One day, he decided to share the story with his son, hoping to illustrate a lesson about responsibility and resilience. His son, however, struggled to reconcile this moment of vulnerability with the image he'd always had of his father. The conversation didn't unfold the way John had hoped, leaving him to realize that his journey with regret was deeply personal. It wasn't something he needed to share to make it meaningful. Instead, it was a private experience that had shaped his character in ways no one else could fully grasp. What if we reframed these moments of self-reflection as acts of self-respect? By holding on to our dreams and regrets, we give ourselves the space to grow, to learn, and to evolve without the noise of outside opinions. It's not about building walls. It's about nurturing the quiet parts of ourselves that drive personal growth. When we preserve these moments as our own, we create a foundation of self-understanding that informs everything else in our lives. Think of the joy that comes from quietly pursuing a dream. It might be as simple as rediscovering a hobby, planting a garden, or learning something new just because it excites you. When we allow ourselves the freedom to explore these passions without seeking approval, we open the door to self-discovery. Similarly, When we process regrets privately, we often find the strength to forgive ourselves and move forward with greater clarity. As we reflect on the things we hold close, our dreams, regrets, and private thoughts, let's shift the focus to what they give us: perspective, resilience, and a deeper connection with ourselves. When we respect our own emotional boundaries, we create a safe space where growth and joy can flourish. And in turn, we show others that it's okay to do the same. In the next part, we'll explore how these boundaries extend to another deeply personal area: our plans for the future and our need for independence. But for now, take this thought with you. Your dreams and reflections are a gift, not just for what they teach you, but for the way they quietly enrich your life. By holding on to them in a way that feels right for you, you're honoring your journey and embracing the beauty of self-discovery. Let's keep moving forward together. Independence isn't just a stage of life. It's a state of mind, a quiet strength that evolves over the years. It's woven into the fabric of who we are, shaping how we see ourselves and how we relate to the world around us. As we grow older, independence takes on new meaning. It becomes less about proving what we can do and more about honoring what makes us feel whole. Have you ever noticed how the little things, like choosing your morning routine or deciding how to spend your day, can bring a profound sense of fulfillment? These aren't just habits. They're reflections of your autonomy and the identity you've nurtured throughout your life. Independence is deeply personal, and it's also deeply enriching. It's the freedom to make choices that align with your values and the ability to embrace life on your terms. But there's something else. It's also the foundation of self-esteem. When you know that you're in charge of your own life, it fosters a sense of confidence and resilience that radiates outward, strengthening your relationships and enriching your interactions with others. Think about it. Doesn't it feel good to know that your loved ones see you as someone capable and self-assured? Independence isn't just about what you do. It's about how it makes you feel. Take Evelyn, for instance. At 74, she's fiercely independent, thriving in the home she's lovingly maintained for decades. Her days are filled with routines that bring her joy: tending to her garden, baking bread in the kitchen, and taking quiet walks in the evening. When her daughter visited recently and suggested that Evelyn consider moving closer for convenience, it was a well-meaning gesture, but it felt out of step with Evelyn's life. Later that night, Evelyn reflected on the suggestion and realized that what she valued most wasn't just her physical space, but the sense of purpose and pride that came with managing her own life. Evelyn knew the conversation wasn't just about logistics. It was about staying true to herself. So, she decided to share her feelings with her daughter. Not defensively, but thoughtfully. She explained how her routines brought her happiness and how staying in her home supported her well-being. Her daughter listened, and while she didn't fully agree, she understood. They found common ground by discussing small ways to ensure Evelyn's safety and comfort while respecting her wishes. Have you had moments like Evelyn's, where you realized that preserving your independence wasn't just about practicalities, but about maintaining your sense of self? These moments remind us that independence isn't a solitary act. It's a dynamic part of how we interact with those we love. By expressing our needs and values, we invite others to see and respect us as we are, and in turn, we strengthen the bonds that connect us. There's something uniquely fulfilling about navigating life with self-reliance. It empowers you to embrace change with grace, to find joy in the familiar, and to face challenges with quiet determination. It's not about resisting help. It's about being deliberate in the choices you make and how they reflect your identity. When we live this way, we inspire those around us, not by what we say, but by how we live. Consider George, a retired school principal who prides himself on keeping an active mind and body. When his son suggested hiring a housekeeper to help with chores, George appreciated the offer, but knew that taking care of his home gave him a sense of purpose. Rather than dismiss the idea, George reframed it. He welcomed help with heavier tasks, but continued managing the smaller ones himself. By doing so, he struck a balance that maintained his autonomy while showing his son that he valued his care. This compromise didn't just preserve George's independence. It deepened their mutual respect. Moments like these remind us that independence isn't an all-or-nothing concept. It's a fluid balance of knowing when to stand firm and when to invite others into our lives in ways that feel right. This balance isn't just good for us, it's good for our relationships. It creates space for understanding, for connection, and for appreciating each other's unique strengths. As we reflect on what independence means, let's celebrate the way it contributes to our well-being. It's not just a practical necessity, it's a cornerstone of personal fulfillment. Independence allows us to pursue our passions, embrace our routines, and find meaning in the everyday. And perhaps most importantly, it reminds us that aging gracefully doesn't mean giving up who we are. It means staying true to ourselves while adapting to life's changes with resilience and dignity. In the next part, we'll explore how independence intersects with emotional boundaries, including how to navigate feelings of disappointment or resentment in relationships. But for now, let's focus on this. Your independence is a gift. It's a testament to your strength, your wisdom, and the life you've built. Embrace it fully, and know that in doing so, you're not just preserving your autonomy. You're honoring your identity. Let's continue this journey together. Life is a journey of discovery, of the world of others, and perhaps most importantly, of ourselves. Along the way, we gather experiences, lessons, and a deeper understanding of what truly matters. But have you ever stopped to consider how the choices you make to honor your needs and values ripple outward? Living authentically, staying true to who you are, and embracing the unique life you've built does more than preserve your peace. It enriches your emotional well-being and creates stronger, more meaningful connections with those around you. As we grow older, there's a beautiful shift that happens. Life becomes less about achieving and more about savoring. It's in this phase that we begin to see the profound impact of living intentionally. The little moments, a quiet morning, a kind word, a shared memory, carries so much weight. By choosing to live with purpose and self-acceptance, you're not just creating a fulfilling life for yourself. You're also leaving a legacy of authenticity for your loved ones. Consider Eleanor, who found peace in her daily walks through the neighborhood where she'd lived for decades. Each familiar street corner and blooming garden brought her a sense of belonging and calm. One day, her granddaughter asked why she always walked the same route. Eleanor smiled and said, "Because this is where I feel connected, to my past, my present, and everything I hold dear." Her words were simple, but they carried a profound truth. Fulfillment isn't about chasing what's ahead. It's about appreciating what's here and now. Have you ever noticed how moments of self-acceptance transform your relationships? When you embrace who you are, with all your strengths and imperfections, you invite others to do the same. This openness fosters understanding and trust, creating a foundation for deeper, more balanced connections. It's a reminder that respecting your personal boundaries isn't just an act of self-preservation. It's a gift you give to the people who care about you. Think about the times when you've made a choice that felt true to yourself, even if it wasn't easy. Maybe it was deciding to pursue a passion, setting limits in a relationship, or simply saying no to something that didn't align with your values. Those moments aren't just milestones. They're affirmations of your resilience and authenticity. And in choosing to live this way, you inspire others to honor their own paths. As we reflect on these ideas, let's focus on the opportunities they create. Living with intention doesn't mean life will be without challenges, but it does mean you'll face those challenges with clarity and strength. By prioritizing your well-being and embracing who you are, you create a life that feels both meaningful and empowering. And isn't that what we all hope for? A life that reflects our truest selves and leaves a lasting impact. Let's look to the future with hope and curiosity. What would it mean for you to fully embrace your authenticity? How might it change the way you navigate your relationships, your routines, and your sense of purpose? These aren't just hypothetical questions. They're invitations to take a closer look at what makes your life uniquely yours. If these reflections resonate with you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. What are the moments that bring you the most peace? How have you embraced your true self in ways that inspire you and those around you? Let's continue this conversation and grow together. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more insights on living a life that's full of purpose, joy, and connection. There's so much more to explore, and I can't wait to share it with you. In our next video, we'll dive into practical tips for finding joy in everyday life and building meaningful connections at any age. Until then, remember this. Living authentically isn't just about the choices you make. It's about the life you create from those choices. Every day is an opportunity to honor your journey, connect with others, and leave a legacy of love and purpose. The best is still to come, and it begins with the choices you make today.